Are you ready, kids? Aye, aye, Captain! Climb aboard as we sail you into the land of true love and happily ever afters. That is We Read It One Night, the podcast where two sisters just love romance novels. This week, we have the ultimate ship, Piper Bellinger and Brendan Taggart from It Happened One Summer by Dirty Talk Queen Tessa Bailey. This listener suggestion and Allison's 2021 comfort read was the perfect midsummer dive for us as we traveled to the Pacific Northwest and read about the book version of Paris Hilton falling in love with bearded Henry Cavill. This book was a funny, sexy, heartwarming, good old Schitt's Creek AU fan fiction, and we loved every second of it. Don't forget to rate, review, and subscribe. We hope you enjoy the show as much as we enjoyed talking about the book.
Oh my gosh. Actually, I've gotten this out of my system. I wrote it at the top.
What?
So the birthday thing, just, oh my God.
Oh.
We're past it. She responded. We're good. But yeah, anyway, people, you might complain about,
you should give the background first. You can't just pop in with this. You got to tell people what happened.
People complain about Facebook. They're like the big baddie, right? However, the one thing you have to give Facebook is that in Facebook's heyday, everyone knew everyone's birthday, no matter if you wanted to or not. So you know what would never have happened? You would never have accidentally called a friend about something unrelated in the middle of their birthday dinner. Which is something I fucking did. Oh my gosh. And I was like, oh, that's weird. Why is she picking? She's like, I'm at dinner, but I can talk. And I'm like, why? No. Why would you talk to me in the middle of dinner? Just call me back later. And then I fucking realized she was probably calling her. Yeah, she was probably like, oh, just a quick happy birthday call.
That's what you need to do is be in a group chat with anyone who you might have contact with. So then everyone else in the group chat will
anyone
wish that
I might have contact with.
See, I just put everyone's birthdays into my calendar now, and I set a reminder.
Yeah, I guess it's time to start doing that.
I do that for your birthdays too. I know when your birthday is, but for example, I knew when Dad's birthday was 3 years ago when I forgot to wish him a happy birthday. It's always 2 days before the person's birthday. I'm oh, that person's birthday is in 2 days. Make a mental note.
Yeah. And then the day of, yeah.
Completely forget about it on the day of. It's happened with Dad. It's happened with other friends. And it's the next day and I'm like, shit, it's the person's birthday. Wake up.
Yeah. But that's one thing. It's one thing to just forget and then be a belated the next day. It's another thing to contact them. Not only on the day of, but in the middle of.
That's just bad luck. That's just the universe taking a shit on you.
Lord.
This book that we're doing today, which is a listener suggestion, that is the earliest I have remembered to say that. I just would like that to be noted for the record. This book also has a lot of very awkward moments in which our main character does some very awkward things.
True. We'll have to make a poll of what's worse, the shots incident or what I did.
I feel one is definitely worse, Rachel.
Which one?
The shots incident.
Okay.
Interrupting someone's just to skip ahead. All right,
no,
today
let's save it. Yeah.
Okay.
It's
today we're doing It Happened One Summer by Tessa Bailey, which was my 2021 comfort read. I love this book. I wasn't as entrenched by it, or not entrenched, but pulled in by it as I was the very first time I read it this time. And I think that's just because I wasn't in sometimes you just got to really be in the mood. But then the last, from the third act breakup on, I was I am living in this world. I was it was 1 a.m. I was I have work tomorrow, but I am going to finish this book tonight because I love everything about this last part of the book.
See, I was really digging, when I read this book the first time, like 9 months ago, I knew you had told me it was based on Schitt's Creek, but I didn't like remember that at the time when I read it. And like I was digging this book like so much more the second time around when I could like have those characters like in my head, you know, like I'm picturing like exactly what we were going for here. Like I'm picturing like, oh, you haven't seen Schitt's Creek, but like
I've seen.
You've seen it?
I am familiar with Schitt's Creek. I don't live under a fucking rock, Rachel.
Whatever. I'm picturing like Alexis and Mud from the first season, basically.
I
If
know,
Mud
that's
was like
what
a
it
jolly
is.
fisherman. Yeah, yeah.
It is. It's
Which is
literally
great. And if they had a happy ending instead of Mud just
yeah,
like, disappearing.
it's a Schitt's Creek AU is what this is. But speaking of people, I told you to come prepared for this, and if you didn't, I'm going to be very upset. There's going to be a movie for this. There's going to be a movie. The movie's been announced by the same people that did the Hating Game movie, but they haven't done the cast or anything yet. So
they're just snapping up everything. Aren't they also doing the fucking
they're doing Spanish Love Deception. I think there's one more.
I don't have an answer, by the way.
I'm
excited to see yours.
You have 2 hours to figure out answers.
I don't know that many famous people is the problem.
You could have Googled black hair actor with beard, blonde haired actress.
Okay, so the first two names that popped into my head before you even said that were Taylor Swift and John Mayer, and that's not going to happen. So
why not?
I don't want it to.
A reunion for the century.
No.
No. Taylor Swift and Joe Alwyn in a wig.
Sure. Yeah, fair enough.
In the beginning, I do want to do a little flag. I don't know if it's a full-on trigger warning, but it's a little flag for content because it's something that I've seen Tessa Bailey discussed like about her books. She wasn't doing the discussing. People were discussing her books, and I've seen it about all of her books, and I definitely noticed it in this read. And when I've read other books, and that is she is very, very leans very hard into like gender essentialism. She is constantly saying like his male anger, his like he smelled like sweat and male and like his essentially male bedroom. And it's like, first of all, if you're like, well, what does a man smell? What do you mean male and sweat? What does that mean? What does a man smell like?
That was a girl phrase. He's surprised he understood.
Yes.
It. Yeah.
So, and I definitely noticed it more with like the man thing, like what it means to be a manly man, but she does it for females things. And like I personally don't mind that. I like recognize it as it is, but I know that there have been people who are like, I can't enjoy her books because it has these elements. And so if that is something that makes you uncomfortable, this may not be the book for you, and that's okay.
So we start out, so Brendan and Piper. Piper is Alexis from Schitt's Creek, if you have seen that. She is basically like a party girl heiress. Like who in like I don't know. I was trying to think like who in the real world is like that big. I guess Paris Hilton, but like
Paris Hilton.
Would Paris Hilton ever? I guess like Paris Hilton in a fictionalized world where she's like forced to rough it. Like that's never actually happened. That we
there was that TV show where it was her and Nicole Richie. Remember that old TV show where they had to like do menial jobs? It was like a reality show.
I just
forget what it was called.
Yeah, I just had such
The
a
Simple
hard time
Life. That's what it was.
Paris Hilton is that because like even when I remember like in the 2000s, like I remember when she like was supposed to be like that, but for some reason something about her has always seemed so like sharp and intelligent. Like I would never have put her in that like airhead category, whatever. Like
but category. Alexis,
like, been very like I don't know, like strategic. Alexis.
Piper's not an airhead either. She like puts on that act. But
she's also
Paris Hilton definitely put on the act of being an airhead.
Yeah, Piper's not an airhead, but she's not like a strategic, like almost cynical, like, always has like a plan, I don't know. That's just like my like childhood impression.
Well, maybe it's the difference in being raised by someone with new money and being raised in old money. Because Paris is old money. Like it's like her great grandfather that's rich or whatever.
Interesting.
Whereas Piper in this book is her stepdad is super rich, but he like, quote unquote came from nothing. Like he like worked his way up in the movie industry.
Sure. No, I was just
like a
think
different
who they would be like in real life.
I mean, I'm sure there are plenty of influencers online that I don't know about. Like I don't know, one of those TikTok girlies
that have really rich parents. That would be like the key, I feel like.
Olivia Jade. Lori Loughlin's
True. Yeah,
daughters who were involved in the college admissions scandal. Like those people. I just don't keep up with I think we just don't keep up with those people. I'm sure that they exist.
Yeah.
Like I'm sure there are
See,
people
the irony
listening to
is
this
when
who
you
could
said
list,
that
like, a bunch
name,
of them.
my first thought was like, oh, she's sporty, right? Like she's athletic.
No, not Nosferatu.
That's what they want you to think.
Okay, so Piper is a socialite. She's 28 years old. Her stepdad, Daniel, is a movie producer, and her mom, Maureen, sucks. And her and her sister, Hannah, were born in Westport, Washington, but they left when they were 4 and 2 years old to like move to Los Angeles because their dad died in a horrible fishing accident.
A tragic fishing accident.
What?
I don't know, I'm trying to quote Zoolander. And our friend was recently fried in a tragic fatal sunlight accident.
Oh,
he did.
Yeah, their dad died tragically at sea, and a grief-stricken mom took them and ran away. And so they've like grown up in Los Angeles, and that's really all they like remember.
Mm-hmm.
Her younger sister, Hannah, really likes music. That's like her whole personality, is that she really likes music. I'm not saying that as like a criticism. I'm just like, that's all there is to say.
Yeah.
And she has like a job. She has like a, some sort of like low level movie job, but Piper doesn't work at all.
She's
I'm
like
going to be struggling not to say Alexis this entire time. And I did not have that problem until the beginning of this episode when you went on, you're like, I love Schitt's Creek because I knit like I don't know what flipped the switch, but every time I want to say Piper, I want like my brain's like Alexis.
Piper's at a party and she's like,
oh yeah, it is a party.
she's her longest relationship ever, which is 3 weeks, is about to end. Which I
would judge her for if like my longest relationship wasn't like only 2 months.
Sure. But she's like, it's implied that she's like always kind of in a like bouncing from like one to the next kind of.
She's not really in like she's like, she calls them relationships, but like they're not really. They're just like.
Right. Because she's like, oh, what else is there besides like casual hookups? Something like that's not a relationship. Like, anyway, her boyfriend, Adrian, is a total douche canoe. And he's like, Piper, like you were basically like, you were cool for a while, but there's like a million girls like you. So like, peace, bye. And she like tries to like put a like happy spin on it. And then he's like, God, like, why are you forcing me to be an asshole? Like, okay, Adrian, like no one can force you. Yeah.
He calls her just a way to pass the time.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, fuck you, Adrian. But she also like, she's looking around at this party and she's like, oh, I'm gonna be irrelevant soon because I'm 28 and there's all these young people and like, look at all their perky breasts.
I wrote that down.
I need boob tape. And I was like, can't relate. I was like, literally from the age of there was never a point in my life in which I had those boobs.
I was like, I also wrote that down for the opposite reason, because she's like, oh, that girl like can't be a day over 19, like she certainly doesn't need boob tape. I'm like, all right, like what is this implication that your boobs will like automatically sag at 28? Like
yeah, they're coming for you, Rachel. This year, the specter of saggy breasts is coming for you. Woo!
Yeah, like I'm pretty sure
haunting you, stalking women like approaching their 28th birthday. Just picture like I don't know, babushka like being like, I'll get you, my pretty.
Yeah, like honestly, like whatever. Like I don't even have like enough to sag. That would be the main issue.
Yeah, I flagged that and I was like, yeah, can't relate to that. I've never been the case for me. I've been 28 my whole life, I guess, since puberty.
So basically Piper spirals and she's like, what can I do to like basically prove that I'm still cool and like get Adrian's attention again? And she's like, you know what? This is perfect. I'll break into a hotel and throw an illegal rooftop pool party. She calls her friend Kirby, who is a total bitch. And Kirby's like, well, that's the thing. Well, let's get to that. But like they throw the party and then they end up getting arrested because like too many people show up. Yeah, and Kirby touts, like Kirby narks to the police. And what I really appreciate about this book is that is never treated. It's always treated as unambiguously like a terrible thing to do. Like there's no like, oh, well, they did break the law. So like it makes sense that, it's the truth.
No.
Like no, at zero tolerance for snitching in this book, which I appreciate.
Also, zero tolerance to unsupervised speaking to the police. We've spoken about this before. Never speak to the police without a lawyer present, my dudes. That's like That's
Right.
police interaction 101. And I understand that there are a lot of complexities to that and that like we're very privileged as white women talking about this. But lawyer, don't just casually talk to the police.
Right, like, this
Always
definitely
get a
applies to
lawyer.
Kirby, like, who we don't know is white, but is definitely very rich. Like, I
Like,
don't know.
Kirby, why are you why are you dude, like, Kirby, you're rich, you have a lawyer. Yeah, go just be like, I'm not no. Don't say anything.
You have to say, I want a lawyer. It doesn't you can't just stay silent, unfortunately. Anyway, so Piper ends up in jail. She makes friends with the guards.
Yeah, she like bonds with her. She's like, wow, those pants are so ugly. And the guard is like, I know.
Yeah, who's playing Candy Crush, which reminded me of like the if you don't know, if you want unlimited lives on Candy Crush, just change your phone time to like a few hours in the future. Like, yes, eventually it will get to like a month out, but that's fine because like who cares? You can just keep changing it. And also like in my experience, one day it just magically goes back to like being fine and like not being a million years in the future. So
this is why you don't remember people's birthdays, is because you're living in like 2023.
No, I haven't. No. You change it back when you're not playing. Also, I would recommend putting your phone on airplane mode though when you do it, specifically so that you don't get texts, because then the text will be like from the future. So like you won't get notifications for like older texts. Very annoying. However, she lets her out, and then her sister Hannah comes to bail her out, and Piper's like, oh well, like this will be fine, right? And Hannah's like, no, Daniel, their dad is really mad.
And he expressly told me not to bail you out, which I was like, strike one, Daniel. Daniel doesn't have as many strikes as Maureen, but
well,
Daniel still has some strikes. I have a bone to pick with Daniel as well as Maureen. Yeah, so they go back and they get, a lecture.
They get chewed out, and Daniel is basically like, yeah, you're like the same thing that her ex-boyfriend Adrian said. She's like, you're a waste of space, and like maybe it's my fault.
It's not that mean.
Well, he kind of is. He's
kind
like,
of mean, yeah.
He's like, I love your mother very much. I don't think I would have been this patient for so long. I'm like, all right, so you don't love them? Like,
let me just. Okay, he has adopted them. They took his last name. Okay, they don't have their birth dad's last name.
Right.
They took his last name. He legally adopted them. He has raised them since they were 4 and 2 years old. And he has the audacity. Like, I feel like this whole book, he's constantly treating them as if they're like the annoying stepkids that his new wife brought along, instead of like his actual, like he is their father. Unambiguously.
No, 100%. But what I will say, like, yes, there's that angle of it, but I also feel like, I don't know, like, I guess I don't have that much experience with what like mean and not mean step parents are actually like, but I feel like the ability to like actually be strict with and like discipline, like say sort of the harsh truth, like that is something that would come more with like being an actual parent versus like the stepfather who's just like, tiptoeing around and like just kind of being,
No. I understand that. For me, it's not necessarily that he's that mean, because like, I mean, first of all, like, listen, Piper deserves to be chewed out here. Like, I'm not making excuses for her. Like, she literally smashed glass to get into this hotel. Like, she fully breaking and entered. Like, she deserves to be like, have some sort of punishment. But it's not even the mean things for me. It's just the fact that like every time they interact, it is like abundantly clear that he does not give a shit about them. And the only reason he interacts with them is because he's married to their mom. Like later on the book, he just like, is like constantly like putting them like 10th, not even second, putting them like all the way down at the bottom of his priority list.
Yeah.
He just doesn't seem like, he doesn't act like he's their actual dad, even though he is their dad for all intents and purposes.
Yeah, that's true. Although they definitely like think of him. Yeah.
Well, no, but they call him Daniel. They don't even call him Dad. They call him Daniel.
That's true, which is weird.
Why do they?
Because you would think Maureen would have been like totally fine with like moving on.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's weird.
And even if they don't call him dad, they could call him like, I don't know, like some sort of other, like if dad was reserved for their birth dad, like they could call him something else. And the fact that they don't is very odd. It's very odd.
And the other thing is that this hotel happens to be like one of Daniel's investors, so this can like jeopardize. He's a movie producer, so this could like jeopardize his next movie. So that's another element of it. But basically Daniel is like, yeah, so even though you guys have been of age for 10 and 8 years respectively, it just slipped my mind to give you the deed for this bar that your dad left you in Westport, which like seems illegal somehow.
Not even tell you about it.
No.
Like, it's not even like I've just been managing it for you. You didn't even know it existed. No, but like at your request.
Right. They didn't know it existed. And that seems like very
feels
minorly,
very
if not very illegal. And I mean, I get it. Like it wasn't really relevant to their lives, but like, I don't know. I mean, yeah.
You've
No,
been
it's
keeping
insane.
property from them.
That's insane.
It's literally like stealing from them.
So we've sort of hinted, like Maureen, their mom has not really, they never speak about their dad. Like they don't know anything about where they come from, like their dad's side of the family.
They don't even know the name of the town they were born in. That's how
Right.
much their mom has kept.
Which is insane now that you just said that. Like what? You don't even know what's on your birth certificate?
Yeah.
But so it's mostly on Maureen. But then Daniel is like, we don't talk about a lot about your past. Like I'll admit that's mostly because I'm selfish and I don't like reminders that your mom loved someone before me. I'm like, all right, well, that's like really shitty. Like
it's shitty. Let's talk about Maureen.
Yeah. So Maureen shows up. They're like, oh, mom can get us out of this. And Maureen's like, no, girls, like, you're going to have to go. Maureen is basically like, yeah, I didn't really fight Daniel this hard on this because I've this whole time been feeling kind of guilty for not telling you guys anything about Westport. And
they don't
you
even
guys
know what their dad looks like. They haven't even seen a picture.
You guys like shooing off to Westport to like discover your roots. That will make me feel less guilty. So there you go. Like off you go.
Oh, some of the shit, and you find out more shit about what Maureen has done later
idea.
on. And I was like, this woman should have spent the entire book groveling, and she doesn't once. She doesn't once. And listen, I understand that she was grieving and she had 2 young kids and she didn't know what to do. And that's hard. But it has been 24 years. It has been a quarter of a century since your husband died. You should have been talking about him, a husband that she loved. Like, it wasn't like, oh, that was a bad marriage. I'm glad that he died.
Right.
Like a husband who loved her daughters, who loved his daughters, who loved his kids, and his kids don't know anything about him because you were too sad. And she's so like, we find out later, like Maureen is what they're all accusing Piper of being. So they're accusing Piper of being
like, she's the
vapid
real airhead.
and like vapid and like selfish and like obsessed with material things. Right. But like Maureen, we found out like right now, like when Daniel's chewing them out, like she's at Pilates classes.
Right.
She also hires an interior decorator to come redo the house every year.
Yeah.
Every year.
Yeah.
And like all this. And listen, if you have the money for those things, I am not like in essence criticizing like doing those things, but it's just so hypocritical. Like, like Maureen is like, she's a full like LA wife. She's a housewife, and that's fine. There's nothing wrong with that. And like if you have the money, like fuck, like that's my dream to like not have to work and just get to like spend someone else's money. That's wonderful. But like the fact that she and also just the nerve of her and Daniel to be like, I don't know how you ended up like this when it's like you raised them. I always get so frustrated when parents are like, you're so spoiled, you're so horrible. And I'm like, well, whose fault is that? Like you raised them. And even Piper's like thinking about, she's like, well, my mom and Daniel like never encouraged me to like find a passion or like learn a new skill or do anything. And like, they never told me, like Daniel's criticizing her for not having ambition, but like, I'm like, listen, I'm not fully blaming it on the parents because Piper is a grown-ass woman and like if she wanted to, she could have. But just the nerve of Maureen and Daniel to be like, oh my God, you're so terrible, and not take any of the responsibility, the majority of which is on their shoulders.
And also like she has the very logical thought of like, what was I supposed to do? Like, what's the point of like going out to make money? Like I already have money. Like, and I mean like, I mean, that's not the only point of like getting an education or doing things, but like, yeah, they never encourage like it. Yeah, it's just so. I mean, she has like committed a crime at this point, so it's like it's a little. It's not as bad as like an Eve Brown, you know, but I don't know.
She doesn't hit anyone with a car. No one has been.
No. I mean, Eve hasn't committed a crime. I'm saying like I'm saying the parents in Eve Brown are like more
like worse.
Yeah.
I know. Like I don't. My vitriol against Daniel and Maureen has been bubbling since the first time I read this book, and I thought I was over it, and then I read this again, and it just like came roaring back. So it may sound as if I'm implying that Piper did nothing wrong, and she did do something wrong, and she does need a reality check, like in some ways. But I just want Maureen and Daniel to do a little bit of groveling, a little bit of self-reflection.
Maureen just feels like a child, honestly. Like she doesn't feel like an adult person who like has the capability of like living in the world, like I don't know, like being a mother, like
Maureen, you're super rich, you couldn't have afforded therapy and maybe like got past these issues 15 years ago so you could like be a good mother. whatever.
Yeah.
Okay.
Anyway, and so Maureen is also going to give them this like dramatic warning about how like the men in Westport are different than you're used to. Like they're different. They love the sea, and like no matter what you want, they'll choose the sea. So like watch out, like basically.
Yeah.
But still, I'm going to send you there and like meet whoever you want. Yeah.
Yeah, so they have to go there for 3 months and live like on their own, and like they're gonna live above the bar in like a tiny little
unclear.
room.
Yeah, he's like, I'll give you a debit card to get you started, but then after that, you're on your own. So like, what were they supposed to do? Like, how are they
I
supposed
think
to
they're
make
just
money?
supposed
They
to
don't
budget.
really.
They're supposed to budget. Like I think that's what it is. It's like if you spend through the debit card, you need to get a job. But one more thing about that. Daniel, they're like, you can't force me to go or whatever. They're like, and Daniel's like, I won't pay your legal fees if you don't go. So that's why Piper's like, oh, I have to go. And Hannah like is not being punished, but Hannah's like, I'm not like ditching my sister because I'm loyal and not a narc like the rest of you. And they go, and then he's like, I'm not paying your legal fees. And this just got me thinking, not that the mom like would pay their legal fees if like she's in on this plan, but like, does the mom not have any money of her own? Like, just like, I'm not talking about like just in turn, like, is she, I don't know, just the way it was phrased is that like Daniel controls the money and like she gets to spend, like, he loves her, she gets to spend like whatever she wanted. But like, if she tried to pay her daughter's legal fees, like, what would happen? That's what I'm saying. Does she not have access to anything like free, clear?
That's not the implication that I got from it. I got it as like it was like Daniel wanted to do this, but it was like a joint decision, and Maureen like didn't fight in that hard. They like wanted to present.
No,
like,
I understand that, but I'm just thinking like if it were different, if Daniel was like, I'm not paying your legal fees, and then Maureen was like, no, I'm paying her legal fees, but like Maureen doesn't work, so like it's Daniel's income.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. I feel like the dynamic is maybe like Daniel would be like, no, it's not. It's my money.
Maybe. I don't know. I didn't think of that, but
I got those
I don't know.
vibes.
I don't think. Yeah. No, I think he would have like if she had done that, he probably would have been like, fine. Well, I'm like not paying their rent or whatever. Like
they live at home.
Like she could, yeah, or like I don't know
they live at home. That's also another thing. Like they live at home, and he's like, you have no ambition. Meanwhile, they still fucking live in their childhood bedrooms. Which again, we're both living at home right now, so I'm not judging that. But you're enabling this.
Well, and it's not that Piper doesn't have like any independent source of income. Like she does, like she gets endorsements or whatever. Like
yeah,
we find out
like influencer things,
right?
And she is a verified Instagram account, so she
is, which is very like wow,
following.
Like
good
look at that, homie.
I told you she's Paris Hilton.
It's true. Yeah, it's like very impressive. Yeah. Okay, so they roll up to Westport in an Uber because I guess it's like I guess it's drivable. I don't know why. Yeah, and they have all their shit, and
it's within driving distance of Seattle
and Los Angeles.
No.
Do they fly? How does Brendan get back? That's what I was thinking. How the fuck does Brendan get back to Los Angeles? How does Piper get back to Los Angeles at the end?
Los Angeles is in Southern California. There is no way anywhere in Washington is like less than a day's drive away. We've driven that road, Rachel.
I have quite a few questions. I know. Yeah, you're right. I have quite a few questions about logistics then when we get to the end.
I think they fly. I think they just fly.
Piper's wearing a big floppy hat. They get out and they're in front of the bar. Except that the bar is just like this rundown, like literally no name. It's called No Name because it has no name place. And they show up and it's just like full of locals because the locals have apparently like appropriated the bar as just like their like meeting spot. They all like pitch in for beer. And the guy that Daniel was paying to take care of it is just like drunk in the corner. Like he has not been doing shit. He's just been taking the money, which is like, very unethical, but like
I love it.
Iconic. Like
I too would do it. Like if no one was coming, you know what I mean? Like it's been like 20 years and nobody has once come to check on the bar. I too would slack off 100%.
And they show up and
one of those locals
is Brendan.
And he is grumpy man with beard and
Who's
beanie.
So grumpy. And he's immediately like, what the fuck are these bitches doing here? Like get the fuck out of my town.
But
and
also
he doesn't
he's like
hesitate.
Immediately in love with her.
Like, for sure. And so angry about it. He's like, why am I looking at her ass? Like,
he's like, I hate this. This person is making me feel emotions. I only have 2 emotions, and now she's making me have 3.
Right. And that's like his big defining trait is that he's very into his routines. Once he commits to something, he does not change the course, and like he doesn't try anything new. Like if he tries something, he's gonna go all in, like even if he hates it. And so going off of that theme, he is a widower. His wife died 7 years ago, but he still wears his wedding ring. And we find out that like Henry Cross, Piper and Hannah's dad is like a legend in this town. Like somehow he's the last person from the town to die while hunting the almighty king crab.
Yeah, they're all so the town is like fishing. Like they hunt crabs and
Right.
they also do like regular fishing, but like king crab fishing is like in the waters of Alaska. It's like one of the most dangerous jobs.
It's like
in
the
country.
most dangerous. It has like a 1% mortality rate, which is just like insane that they haven't lost a Westport person in over 2 decades. Like that makes no sense.
Yeah, but other people have died from other.
Well, sure, but like how many are there? Like there's
There are
not
probably
that.
a lot of different, like all the way up the coast of Washington, Canada, and Alaska. There are definitely fishing towns all up there. There are the Russians too are mentioned at one point.
Yeah, but we're not counting the Russians in our statistics, in our like U.S.
I know, but I'm saying
statistics.
like there's definitely like quite a few. So like it's not. Okay. I mean, it's like rare, but it's not like totally wild.
Okay, sure. So he's like a legend. He's still remembered in the town. They walk in and everyone's like, "What the fuck are you doing here?" And they're like, "We're Henry Cross's daughters, bitches." Everyone but Brendan is like, "Oh my gosh, Henry Cross!" Like, wow. But Brendan's like, I
Brendan's
still hate
like,
them.
How dare you come into our legal bar even though you own it?
Right.
How dare you come here?
Yeah, they're like, it's actually, yeah. And someone's like, Henry's girl is sitting right here in his bar. And Brendan's like, our bar. Like, all right, Brendan.
And Piper's like, not according to the deed, bitch.
Right. Yeah, like
whips it out.
Yeah, which means like, yeah, I can't believe they were robbed of that for 24 years, whatever. Or whatever, 10 years.
Yeah, you wanted them to make an income. Why don't you tell them about it when they were 18 and be like, why don't you go run that bar? That'll be fun.
So Brendan's like, fine, like I'll show you. They're like, we're gonna be staying in the apartment upstairs, and everyone's like, Brendan's
like, ha. You won't even last the night.
Yeah, he takes them up there, and he's like, for some reason, he was wary of getting too close to her. He definitely didn't want to know what she smelled like.
They're also all the guys. They brought like 8 suitcases, and all like the men in the bar are like, "I can carry your suitcase. What? Right. I can go get your suitcase." And they like pull them in, and like they're all like immediately in love with them because they're both super hot. And Brendan is like, "You're not allowed to be in love with Piper. Piper is mine. That doesn't mean anything. But I love Piper. I love her stupid floppy hat and her tiny lipstick purse. It's so stupid. Definitely doesn't mean anything." And also, like, when they're pointing at the custodian that's, like, drunk, Brendan is like, yeah, I mean, he sucks, but don't insult my lifelong friend. Like, he's, like, suddenly taking the custodian's side.
Classic. He's loyal. He's nothing if not loyal. Like,
he's loyal. Yeah.
So he takes them upstairs. The place is a shithole, naturally.
He does not manage not to smell Piper. I would like to emphasize that. He does smell her. That's the sign. The grumpy man obsessed. Like at one point, he's got to like take a big sniff. Anthony Bridgerton does it. Brendan Taggart does it.
And there's like mice and shit. And like, it's really gross. But they're like, you know what? We're going to fucking stay. And he's like, okay, like, I hope you know that everyone in town has a key for this place. Like there's a lock.
Apartment doesn't have a lock. The apartment doesn't have a lock. And honestly, speaking of like the mice and the like, I mean, listen, health wise, good that they got rid of, you know, the mice and the rats. But like, I kind of, part of me wanted them to like adopt a little like pet rat.
Yeah, because Piper's like, what is them? She's like, what is that? A mouse? Aren't they supposed to be cute? I'm like, they are fucking cute. Like, what is this mouse slander, Piper? Like, they are cute. Rats are cute too. Yeah, like, haven't you ever read Babysitter's Little Sister? Adventures in Babysitting, where
spin-off series.
Karen has a pet rat named Emily Jr. Like I feel like that's where I first was like, wait a second, these are fucking cute. Like, what are we doing? There's no like junior person that she's named after. She's just like, I like that. I like having the junior at the end. Like,
good.
So yeah, so they make it the night, and next morning, Brendan, it's time for his weekly shop.
This whole time, we think that Brendan is married because he's wearing the wedding ring, and like at one point Piper tries to like flirt with him, and then she sees the wedding ring and she's like, oh, like I'm gonna back off. And Brendan and like and we don't like, even like, it's not even that like Brendan doesn't tell Piper, it's that like the text doesn't tell us that he's not married, that he's like widowed until the next scene. And I remember first reading this and I was like, Tessa, you best not be about to like make me fall in love with a married man romance, because I'm gonna be really fucking pissed. And I like had to go to the Goodreads reviews and find like someone who called him a widower.
How common are those? I've never come across
the cheating one. No, but like, well, I know I avoid them at all costs. They're in the places where I've seen them. I've not read them because I hate them, but the places where I see them most often are in that same category. Like, you know how I said the like Ugly Love by Colleen Hoover was like a gut punch romance? Like those kind of like usually independent published, like that area.
So the people who get together are the cheating people, or the person cheats and then they end up getting with their spouse? Marriage in Trouble.
I don't know. I don't read them. It's not usually a marriage, like
I just can't imagine. I guess like we get like a fucking like Jane Eyre type situation, I guess.
Yeah, but even Mr. Rochester sucks.
Yeah, I know. But like a situation where like the spouse is like incapacitated, you know, just like not, I don't know.
I don't see it that often, but I was like, Tessa.
Anyway, it's time for his weekly grocery shop. And he's like, I like coming early because it means I don't have to talk to anyone. And I don't even need a list because I know I get the exact same things every time.
Which honestly I relate to. Like as someone who has eaten nothing but like
for sure
spaghetti, mushrooms, spinach, and ragu sauce for the last 2 years, and who made it so frequently before then, like as far back as college, that like when I made it here at this apartment and my friend who like owns this apartment like was here for a weekend, she was like, oh, like Allison's making her pasta. It's like Allison's pasta did. Like I'm known for eating this. So I can fully like I get the same thing at the grocery store every time and it works and it's delicious.
Didn't we do it for the burrata? Wasn't that how this started? And then we ditched the
burrata. No, I had already been making it and I suggested we made it and then you were like, let's add burrata.
Burrata or burrata is another one of those words that I don't really know how it's supposed to come out of my mouth, like Alistair. I've gotten better with Alistair, but like I feel obnoxious rolling the R, but like I don't know how you're supposed to pronounce it. When you say burrata,
you got to do the like
the
like fingers pinched together, like the Italian.
Yeah. No, I can say it like for the meme, like when we would be like burrata, like you know, like in the early days of the pandemic, but I don't know how to say it in like casual conversation.
Brendan does not eat burrata, by the way. I just would like to clarify that.
Oh,
he would never eat anything that fancy.
No.
Like that's
and around, he's like rounding an aisle and he hears it. He's like, oh my fucking God. Hey Siri. How do I make dinner?
No, what should I make for dinner?
Yeah, what should I make for dinner?
And then she's like, Siri,
2 ingredients.
Siri, what is tarragon?
Oh my God, my Siri's answering. Check it out.
What does Siri say you should make for dinner?
Oh, I don't know. Hey Siri, what should I make for dinner with 2 ingredients? I can make Parmesan thyme crisps. I can make mousse de dulce de leche repostero.
All of those things sound like they have more than 2 ingredients.
2 ingredient ice cream bread.
Interesting. Intriguing. Yeah, anyway, Piper is very lost. And frankly, like Brendan just this whole time, like he's just being a dick for no reason. He's being a dick because he's grumpy and he's in love with her and he's mad about it. But I'm like, everybody else is cool with her, Brendan. Like, why you gotta be like such a dick? But he's also like, he's both being a dick, but also like sidling closer so he can get another sniff. He's like, I can't resist.
She's like, you don't have to make me feel like I don't belong. Like, I already know I don't belong, even with people I know. And he's like, but she's so pretty and funny. Like, that must be a joke. She could belong anywhere, couldn't she? Just not here. Just not here. She can't belong here. She can belong here.
She can't belong here. And then she's like, she says this little zinger where she's like, you obviously love this place. Why don't you try being a better representation of it? And Brendan is like, he's literally, it's like he's been punched in the fucking face. He's like, oh my God. Like what a way. Like Piper's like, I know exactly how to undermine this man and I'm going to do it. And Brendan is like, God. And now I'm a little bit horny. Like,
so she's basically like, I'm here to like make dinner for my sister to thank her for coming with us, which like, why would that, I don't know, like it's a nice gesture, but also it's like, what a weird way to like just thank someone for doing something nice for you, to like try to cook for them when you literally don't even know what tarragon is. Like, I don't know.
It's the thought that counts. I mean, I don't really know what tarragon, like tarragon is like an herb, but I don't know anything more about it.
Yeah, I guess just like personally for me, I would just like a nice like Linda's fudge cake slice from the Cheesecake Factory. Like that would do it for me personally.
You think there's a Cheesecake Factory near Westport, Washington? Which is a real place, by the way.
Oh, really? Interesting.
I thought the whole first time I was reading this, I was like convinced that it wasn't real.
Made up.
And then Tessa Bailey posted on her Instagram like a month ago, like or 2 months ago, because Hannah's book came out this year, and she like went to Westport and like did a signing and like went there for like a week. And I was like, it's real? Because I swear to God, I Googled it when I first read this book, and Google told me that it wasn't real, but it is real. It's called Westport.
Maybe
and it's real.
Created it. Is it a real fishing village?
Yes. Yes.
I mean, I guess
And
that's the
even
word
like
for it.
later on, Piper and Hannah go to a winery and like that's there too with the little Instagram
Yeah.
wall. Like it's fully based on, it's
Oh,
fully rooted in this
wow.
real
Are they
town.
gonna film it there?
I
you
don't
think?
know. Probably not. It's probably too expensive, honestly. They'll probably film in somewhere in British Columbia, like they always do.
Yeah, wow, we should go to Westport. That's like the next trip. Wow, but she saw Forks and she was like, I know what the goal is here. Like
Yes.
that's what happened
Yes.
for sure.
My problem is, I mean, Forks, Twilight obviously has the mushroom ravioli, which is delicious, that you
Mhm.
can go like to that area and visit. But the only sort of like defined meal in this book is fish and chips, and I fucking hate fish and chips.
I do like fish and chips, but I don't eat fish. So I would just like to note this entire time, Piper is wearing a sequin jumpsuit.
Yeah.
Which is
She
very
doesn't
on
own a
brand.
pair of jeans.
But it just makes me picture, I don't know if you're like familiar with this meme, but like, so the Taylor Swift wore a sequin jumpsuit for something. And for like a day, like a few months ago or a year ago, when you Googled Taylor Swift, like the picture that came up on Wikipedia was this like, there's the song Mirror Ball. It was like her in the jumpsuit, but like shrunk down to be like a disco ball, like around like Taylor Swift. Let me see if I can find it. So that's what I'm picturing like every time
with Piper. I'm picturing the sequin jumpsuit from The Lost City that Sandra Bullock wears.
So also another thing that's concerning about the scene is that Brendan puts rice in his cart, but it's in a box. Like it's a box of rice. And I just have a lot of questions that I don't really want answered with that.
Finally, he's like, yeah, I'm being a dick. So he helps her pick out things for dinner. He like gets her, gets her ground beef and like pasta sauce and like pasta. And I was like, bro, 2 ingredients, pasta, ragu. Don't add beef and complicate things. Like that's what causes all the problems.
And garlic, like, yeah, for sure. And she also has like lima beans and apple cider vinegar in her cart this whole time.
Yeah, she just puts random things in. And also at one point she's like, oh, I feel sorry for your wife.
Oh,
and this is when he finally admits that his wife is dead. And she's like, oh my God, I'm so sorry. And I'm like, I mean, you didn't know. He very purposely didn't tell you.
Yeah, but still, yeah. I mean, but it's like it's like one of those things that it's like
yeah.
yeah.
No, I mean it's definitely embarrassing, but like he also tells her that there's a memorial to their dad down by the water,
and he tells her like other things. Or she's like, all right, like I guess I'll see you around maybe, and he's like, it wasn't like he was eager to see her face or anything. She's like, fine, nothing more to say, and then they just like stand there staring at each other for a few seconds. Like I enjoyed that. Like it took him another couple seconds just to get moving. I just love that imagery. The tense like sexual tension staring like at each other.
an inch apart.
Yeah. So Brendan's off to sea and Piper and Hannah are going to explore the town. They go to the memorial and Piper like feels guilty for not feeling anything at first.
She says like, am I too shallow to feel connected to our father? And I was like, Maureen, this is all your fault.
And so through like some interactions with like townies / like NPCs, she finds out like exactly how her father died, which she never knew before. But one of the people is like, yeah, like poor Henry, like he got swept off by a wave. And like
she finds this out from Mick.
Oh, Mick. Okay, Mick, which is Brendan's father-in-law.
And also Henry's friend. Like he was like the captain on the boat when Henry died.
But even so even though Piper and Brendan like aren't together, she's already like starting to feel worried about him on the water, basically.
Yeah. So Mick was the captain of the boat, and he was like there when their dad died, when Henry Cross died.
I didn't think he was captain at the time.
Yes, he was. He was like, I was in the wheelhouse when I saw the wave take him.
But they would have been so young. There's no way.
No, because he specifically says, I didn't notice this the first time. He specifically says that it was on the Della Ray, which is the name of Brendan's boat, which he got from Mick. He was made the captain of that boat. Mick gave him the boat, which is named after Mick's wife. And I just realized that Brendan's boat is the same fucking boat that Piper's dad died on.
Wow.
And that's never acknowledged. That no one ever thinks of that.
It's like Mick's fault too, kind of thing. Like Mick is obviously I don't know. Like
I don't think it's Mick's fault. Like I mean, it's a very, very dangerous job. You're in the fucking like freezing like Bering Sea waters.
Like captain is the one who has like the ability to, the safety procedures and like to make sure everything goes to plan and like saying that's why Brendan's so into his routine.
Sure. Yeah, but Brendan's also like there's a lot more safety equipment. They're building boats differently. There's more like technology that allows us to keep people safe.
The only reason that I think the Delaray he might not have been the captain at that time is because we have this like running theme of like marrying into the boating like nepotism sort of thing. So like Brendan married Desiree, which is Mick's daughter, because like Mick wanted them to get together. So maybe like Mick married Della Ray like, and got the boat from her dad because like her dad wanted them to be together or something. Like, who knows?
Maybe. Either way, Brendan's boat is the boat that
Yeah,
Piper's
that's
dad died on, and
crazy.
it's never
Wow.
acknowledged. And then he's like, Mick is like, oh, have you gone to see Opal yet? And Piper's like, I literally have no
Yeah.
fucking clue who Opal is, but I'm not going to ask because I've already embarrassed myself today. And Mick gives her the address. And yeah, everyone's constantly like, oh, have you gone to see Opal?
And they're like
She's like, who the
surprised when
fuck
they
is
say no.
Opal?
Yeah. So that's like the big, yeah.
And then Mick invites her. He invites her to a party where a bunch of the locals are hanging out this Friday. Mick invites her. He calls it a party. And listener, it is not a party. And I was like, Mick, why the fuck would you phrase it like that?
Okay, because I was questioning. I remember the first time I read this, and this time, like when that scene happens, I remember being like, wait, when the fuck did we know this was happening? And I like went back and like re-listened, and it's not mentioned ever. So I just thought that Piper was like crashing it.
No.
But so she's invited? Wait, so then
Mick
why is she
invites her to a party. He calls it a party. So Piper thinks it's just a gathering.
Wait, then I don't think Piper is in the wrong at all.
No. Oh, no, she's not.
Well,
It's
you were
still
saying that was
embarrassing.
worse. I don't think that's worse then because she was invited. I thought she was
No, but I'm just saying in terms of embarrassment, it's worse.
I don't think so because she was invited. Like she wasn't. Like,
she was invited. It's called, so what happens?
So
we don't even
spoiler
say.
alert. Yeah, spoiler.
She crashes the party that Mick has invited her to is actually his daughter's annual memorial party in like the basement of the local bar, and Piper shows up there with like shots and is like, "Why the long faces? Like everybody do a shot."
Yeah.
And then like realizes memorial dinner and she's like, oh my God, I'm so horrible. And I'm like, Mick fucking set you up. What the fuck? Why would you invite this random person also to your daughter's memorial dinner? Like she didn't know your daughter. What?
Right. It's weird. And also like, well, at this point, Mick has no reason to dislike Piper. If anything, like they should, you know, I feel like now that I just thought of it, like like it would have been great if Mick was like sort of a surrogate. Like Mick lost his daughter. And Piper lost her dad, who was Mick's friend. So it would have made sense for Mick to sort of like, I don't know, like take her under his wing sort of thing.
Yeah, but not really because Piper then is like gets with his daughters.
Oh, I know. But at this point, like he doesn't find that out until like quite a while from now. So
anyway, fuck Mick.
Wow, Mick. So Piper's going to try to cook. And we have a little meat brain mishap.
Yeah. I would like to know she has trouble lighting the gas stoves. And once again, I would like to emphasize how much gas stoves suck and how much they need to be removed from all kitchens.
Induction for the win, baby. Yeah. And yeah, a fire ensues. Piper's like, I had brief, like, she like threw the spatula at it. Like, that would do anything. No. Piper's very brave. Probably, I don't think I would be able to do this. She like covers it and like runs it down the stairs and outside so that it doesn't burn the whole place down. And it causes like quite a hullabaloo who's across the street, but Brendan having his weekly fish and chips dinner with his BFF Fox. And Brendan orders the same thing off the menu every time. And he sees Piper like run outside and he comes out and like starts yelling at her because he's like, oh my God, like she's endangering herself. Like, I can't believe this. And like it comes out expressed as like mean anger.
Yeah, but also like he like runs her, he puts it out with a fire extinguisher, and then he immediately checks if he's okay. He like grabs her hands. He's like, oh my God, did she burn herself? Has her perfect, beautiful skin been tarnished by this fire? Like, is she all right?
Yes. And then Hannah like sticks up for Piper and she's like, you are like such a bully. Like, get the fuck out of here.
And she's like, fuck off, Brendan. Fox, I just met you. You can fuck off too. Like, all of y'all can fuck off. And Brendan is like, no, I people think I'm mean. What?
Right?
Like, oh, what is this emotion that I'm feeling? Am I coming down with the flu?
Oh my God. And then he apologizes like immediately. He's like, Piper, like, I'm sorry for yelling at you. It's because I was worried at you. I won't do it again. Like, whatever. And something we forgot to say is that while they were having their like Brendan Fox dinner, Brendan is like, so Fox is like a player. Like, he's like really good looking. He's like into the ladies, whatever. And Brendan's like, oh, it's never annoyed me like how popular with women he is before. Like, he always had that stupid dimple. And then like abruptly he's just like, yeah, you know those new girls? Like, don't go sniffing around the older one, Piper. And don't ask me to explain why either.
I will not
explain. Her. Yeah.
And Fox is like, oh my God, you're so fucking stupid. So Fox like takes Hannah to the record shop because again her personality trait is that she likes music and to give like Piper and Brendan some alone time. And Brendan at this point is like he's like, oh my god, like I'm like super into Piper, but like I still feel guilty about my wife. Ah. And like I should stay away from her. Like she's only here for 3 months. She's all wrong for me. And then he's like, maybe I should just avoid this part of town for 3 months. But then he's like, but no, I can't allow her to think poorly of me. Like, if I leave, I cannot redeem myself in her eyes. Maybe I should ask instead of demand that she come and eat dinner with me right now because she burned hers. A novel concept.
But then he still is like, go in there and eat it. Like, go eat it right now. Like, please take my food.
But
Please
that's
take
when he has
everything
the
you
thought.
want.
He's like, I mean,
Yeah.
will you come and eat with me? And does like that awkward, like, oh,
Like
I
beast.
can't. Yeah, beast when he does when he tries to just trying to do the smile and it's like,
yeah. So they go in and he gives her the fish and chips. And then like she's like not eating that much. He like nudges her like forehand into action. He's like, eat, and like
and he's like, I kind of like that she's eating the fish that I caught.
Oh yeah,
it's inside her now.
Oh my god. And she's like, why aren't you hungry? Like, why aren't you eating? Like, you should eat like Fox's thing. And he's like, no, it's the pot pie. And she's like, okay, it's pot pie. Like, do you not like pot pie? And he's like, I have never tried pot pie. and then like I forget what she says, but he laughs. And then he looks around and notices that half the people in the restaurant are staring at him. Like they're like so shocked.
He's such a grumpy man.
Oh my god.
So he tries the pot pie. He's like, listen, if I try it and I don't like it, like I'm gonna have to finish it because I don't start things and not finish them. She's like, just try it. And like she finishes eating and he's like, no, don't leave. Fine, I'll try the pot pie. And then he like tries the pot pie and he's like, I don't like it. But then just continues to like miserably eat it throughout.
Horrible. He's like the watery gravy. Yeah.
It's like, it's horrible. But also Piper is talking to me, so it's worth it, I guess.
It's just like his personality. So they like have a little like debrief. Yeah. Where she's like, what do you think? I'm just some like rich spoiled brat. And he's like, don't put words in my mouth. You're already making me eat this goddamn pie.
It's like, Brendan, just don't eat the pie. It's okay.
Right.
I feel like that's along the same lines as like you can't leave any, like when you can't leave any
food
like
on your
leftovers on your plate because your parents are always like, finish your plate. Like,
yeah.
I feel like I have that a little bit, or like a scarcity mindset. I'm like, if I don't eat all this now, like I could never have this ever again. Like this could be my last opportunity to eat this.
But like applying that to things you don't even like or that taste bad.
Yeah, no, that's too much. It's like a more extreme end of the spectrum.
No, I'm like the exact opposite end of the spectrum where like I will try a tiny bit of everything no matter how wasteful it is.
Oh, yeah. I know you're a little nibbler. You like go around like a little mouse. You're the rat in the family. Like,
hey, rats are cute. We just established that.
Are you a mole from Disney? Like, is this what you are? The mouse is coming for us.
Yeah.
We've disparaged them one too many times on our podcast.
Be careful. Like oh my god.
The mouse. Squeak, 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 squeak. Squeak,
what is that?
squeak. It's Psycho.
Oh no, but specifically with the mouse. Is that not like a thing? Like where it's the mouse is like
the mouse. I think that's just like a common I don't know whether it's specifically SNL.
Yeah.
Oh, the squeak. Oh, I don't know.
All right, so the next morning they wake up.
She tells him why she's in Westport. Like she's like, yeah, like I fucked up. I did the big party. We have a big confession. And then she's like, you don't like me. And she's like, most people like me. And he's like, that's because you flirt. And she's like, yeah, you threw off my flirting groove. So now I can't flirt with you. Like now, like I can't turn it back on with you. And he's like, no, flirt with me.
His biggest takeaway from her confession about the party is like, oh my fucking god, like Piper throwing a naked party. Like that's the imagery I have in my head now. Like, thanks.
He's like, god damn it, I'm gonna masturbate to this tonight, aren't I?
So the next morning, Piper and Hannah are sleeping on bunk beds. So Piper like wakes up in the middle of like bad dream about the Mouse King and like whacks her little head on the upper bunk. And then she answers the door like, and it's Brendan. Like he's been like knocking on the door.
And she's wearing her PJs, which are just a pair of white cotton underwear and a tight tank top. And Brendan loses his ever loving mind.
Oh my God.
He's like, what? Like Brendan has more than 2 brain cells, but all of them have vacated the vicinity when Piper comes to answer the door.
They're off on the boat. They're off fishing.
Yeah. Yeah, they've gone king crab fishing. They're gone for the next 3 weeks.
He's there with his toolkit and he's like, I came to change the locks on your door because I saw you hadn't done it yet, even though you had 2 whole days. Like, sorry, Stern brunch daddy-ish.
So yeah, he's already changed the door downstairs. Like he did not wait to ask them. He's just like, I've changed the door. Here is the key. You're welcome. Now I'm gonna do this door again. Not asking. I'm telling.
Right, and also here, take mixed number. Just in case you need anything while I'm off on the boat.
Yeah. Also, and then he's like, why do you have a bruise on your forehead? She's like, oh, I keep hitting my forehead like on the thing. And he's like, well, that can't be allowed. You'll see how we fix it later.
And he also brings them 3 takeout menus, like just in case they need to like eat things while he's gone. He's like, I went ahead and circled what I get every time, so you'll know the best dish. Just like, okay, aka the only thing you've ever fucking tried.
But then later on, she's like, I've been like, you're right. Like all the takeout, like those dishes are the best.
Yeah.
And he's also like, Piper's like, does he want to be friends? Because like obviously he doesn't want me to flirt with him. And she's like, I don't understand. And then like I think at the end of this conversation, she's like, are we friends? And he's like, no. He's like stomps down the stairs.
Yeah. And so Brendan like goes to his boat, and while he still has, so they don't have cell service on the water, but like while he still has service, he downloads Instagram because he was like, oh, why are you naked or something when she answered the door.
He gets embarrassed and she like puts a pillow over. She's like,
yeah, she was like, this is like me and half my Instagram pictures. Like, what are you talking about? And he's like, wait a second, like there's more of this. So he downloads Instagram, like
access this?
Yeah, and we have his like his crew is like helping him with this because he's like, it won't let me just use my name. Yeah, and they're like, because there's like a fucking million Brendan Taggarts that have had Instagram since 2009. Like, what are you talking about? So he finally makes it, and then he finds Piper and follows her, and she's like the only person he's following. And then he's like, let me like download these pictures, like so I'm like ready to go.
Let me screenshot these so I can wank off like on the boat.
Right, they're like teasing him. They're like, you downloading some pictures to keep you warm, and he's like, you can just download pictures on this. Like anyone can just download these pictures.
Anyone could have these. And he's like, yeah, and he's also like, she's the only person he's following. He has not posted anything on the Instagram, and they're like, don't follow her, like don't let her know. But he's like already done it, and he's like, oh no, should I unfollow her? And they're like, no, then you'll look creep. Like don't do like, oh my god. And then but then as he's scrolling through, he feels like bad / like embarrassed because he thinks that he's like too poor / grungy for her. He's like, oh, she's from like another world of like,
no, I don't think it's wealth and poor. It's like like too unrefined.
He's like, I can't provide her with this cut. Like Brendan's not poor, but he's not like Daniel rich. You know what I mean? He doesn't have a Hilton.
It's unclear. I did the math on this at one point. I can provide you with details later on if you would like, but it's interesting, the breakdown.
Yeah. Oh, but also wait, something when he's typing on Instagram, his thumbs are too big to type, so he keeps pressing the wrong letters.
Oh my god.
I think that's one of my favorite micro tropes.
Just like thumbs too big to use technology.
Thumbs too large to use technology. I don't know what about it. It really presses all the right buttons for me. No, it's definitely completely insane. Like this man would have to have like baseball gloves for hands.
Yeah, because there's no way. There's no way that they would make technology not like usable by men, basically.
By burly men. Yeah,
right. Like that would be like that would be like the.
It is completely absurd. It is a completely absurd micro trope, but it really like pushes all the right buttons for me.
Meanwhile, Piper and Anne are exploring the town, and Brendan has sent this old man Abe over to pad the bottom of the bunk so that Piper doesn't hit her head. And we find out
they literally roll up at the bar, and like Abe is there. He's like, "Hi, ladies," and they're like, "Hello."
And Abe owns the hardware store, and he likes to, like, sit on the front porch, but he can't do it most of the time because he needs help up the stairs, and, like, his daughter can only come over, like, twice a week. So Piper's like, "Well, I'll just come over, I'll help you, like, that'll be great." And Abe's like, "Oh, thank you, dear," and remember that, Abe will be relevant.
Yes. I
Troublemaker
didn't think
Abe.
he was going to be
And
relevant.
Abe is also like, "Have you guys talked to Opal yet?" And he's, like,
Yeah.
visibly surprised when they say no, and Piper's like, "Alright, fine, I'll go fucking, like, visit Opal." And she knocks on Opal's door, and
Guess who Opal is?
yeah. Give you
Guess who
one guess.
Opal is? One guess. We'll give you 2 seconds. 1, 2. It's their goddamn grandmother.
It's their fucking grandmother.
It's
It's
their
Henry Cross's mother.
when I tell you that I wanted to punch a wall when I found this out, I was like, so not only has Maureen not told them anything about their dad, but she has kept their literal grandmother. And we know because earlier on in the book, Piper's thinking about how she had like a relationship that wasn't super close, but she had a relationship with Maureen's parents.
Yeah.
She knew Maureen's parents.
Yeah.
But they don't. Are you kidding?
Yeah.
This poor old lady has been sitting in her apartment. And I mean, like, we find out that, like, Opal's like, yeah, like, Maureen wanted to leave and, like, I disagreed with that. And, like, we got in a fight. But, like, still.
No, and it's
You
interesting
guys are
because
adults.
Washington is one of the states, maybe the only state where, like, if you're someone like an adult in a child's life who's not their parent, but like you want to have visitation rights with them, like even if you're not their other parent, you can like sue to like try to get that and like
For
say that it's in the
grandparents'
best
rights.
interests. Yeah, but they left Washington, so I don't know. I'm still don't know how I feel about that, but I mean, it doesn't even matter if it's like legally enforceable or not. Like Maureen's like shitty
That's
for not even
shit.
mentioning like
They
right,
didn't know that she existed.
right,
They
right.
didn't know that she existed.
Right, like, this is 10 years now past them turning 18 that, like, even if Maureen for some reason didn't wanna, like, have like, you know, it's
It's again,
crazy.
it's been a quarter of a century.
Right.
This poor old lady has been sitting alone and isolating herself for a quarter of a century.
Literally been like a hermit, like, she doesn't go out. She thought she only let Buzz Piper up because she thought she was her hairdresser who, like, makes house calls for her, right?
Yeah.
So but, yeah, they, like, bond a little bit, and Piper's like
And just oh wait, sorry. I just need to talk about Maureen again. Just the fact that Maureen didn't even mention the grandmother when they were literally moving to the small town that she
Oh,
lives in.
yeah!
She wasn't even like, "Hey, by the way, you have a grandmother." And they ask Maureen about it later and she's like, "Oh, well I was sort of like embarrassed, like I
To
didn't
your
want to
face
like
when I
look you in
told
the
you.
eyes." So like Maureen
Exactly.
is just
She's a
you
piece
know,
she's
up until this
terrible.
point, I think Renee from Twilight really took the cake for like worst parent, but like I think Maureen is gonna give her a run is giving her a run for her money.
No, they're not parentified at least. Like, they're just
Yeah, no,
infantilized.
they're infantilized. Like, which one's
Yeah.
worse?
Right. Oh, anyway, Piper gives Marine a faux hawk. Piper gives Opal a faux hawk for some reason. What the fuck is that? It sounds like a hate crime, but like, whatever.
I think it's
She likes
mostly I think
it.
she just like I think it's like shaved on the like short on the sides and then just like longer on the top.
Oh.
Like I don't think it's like
Oh, okay. I was picturing a mohawk, but like fake somehow, and I was like, why
no.
the fuck would
Well,
you
a
do that?
fog is usually just like a short.
Faux hawk is like a mohawk, like turned on the side and like weird, kind of.
A faux hawk is a mohawk, but without all the hair gel keeping it up straight.
Oh my god, I was wait. What is business in the front, party
A
in the back?
mullet. Oh
A
no.
mullet. I thought it was a mullet. Oh my god. Okay. 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 I take it back.
Anyway, Opal shows her pictures of Henry and like tells her about Henry.
Yeah, and I feel like there's some kind of this is I know this isn't the place to mention it, but I just feel like there's some kind of parallel that could be made of like the mom Maureen being a widow and leaving Westport, and like her parents leaving Westport, and like Brendan's also a widower, but like he stays in Westport, but his parents leave. Like I don't know. It's just
Well, yeah. I
I don't
guess
know
it's
what
more like,
something
well,
there.
like both of them are described as like Henry Cross was Westport. Like that's why going there.
Mhm.
And like Brendan is also at one point like Brendan was Westport. But then by the end, Brendan's like, no, like Piper's Westport. So it's like that transition. I don't know what
Yeah.
that means. I don't if I had some thought, I don't have time for literary analysis of that. I didn't give it enough thought.
Piper's Westport too?
At the very end, he has a thought during my favorite part. Sometime during my favorite part, he's like, because she's like, been making friends and like ingratiating
Yeah.
herself into the community. He's like, no, Piper is Westport. He has a thought. That definitely, that's
Okay,
something that
okay,
he
whatever.
thinks.
So he's currently on the boat thinking about like worrying about Piper's well-being, worrying that she's not like ordering the right things off the menus. And Piper and Hannah like start digging into the bar, and they discover like behind this like faux wall or something behind the bar a bunch of pictures of Henry, including some of him like laughing, and that's the Piper's like, oh wow, like I recognize this person as like an important person or whatever.
Well, she's like, because the only thing she's ever really remembered about him is his laugh.
And this is when they come up with a scheme to like remake the bar and like spruce it up and make it look nice and like invite Daniel, their stepdad, to come see it in the hopes that he will let them leave early. Even though like the idea of 3 months being like, I mean, I guess it is a long time in like real people time, but like for me right now, I'm like 3 months is like, I don't know. Like I feel like I'm in like an opium haze. Like it's just like goes by in
Oh
a
my God.
blink.
Time
Like
is like moving so quickly. Like, I know that's not supposed to happen until you're like older. Cause we talked about like proportionally like time
right.
moves slower as a kid because
Yeah.
it's like a bigger portion of your life. But like
Yeah.
I'm only 25 and I'm already like a year. Like what? Like it's been a year since
It's
this
because
happened.
it's all like the same. Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's just blending together. But no, if someone offered me a like debit card and was like, and a place to
Right.
stay in like a
Fishing
coastal town
village
in Washington, I would be
for
like,
3 months.
yes,
100%.
absolutely.
In
I
the
would
summer, like,
100,
it's
I would,
mostly nice weather.
yeah, but I'm like, that sounds ideal. Frankly, sounds like a dream.
It's like their normal life though, but like in LA. She could probably have done that at any point if she wanted to, like just gone on
Yeah.
vacation or wherever. So they decided to do that. And now it's time. So Brendan's back and it's
Oh my
time for the big Desiree party slash like sad
God.
memorial. And Brendan's like,
And Fox keeps giving him like lectures. He's like, you need to move
yeah.
on.
Yeah, he's like, I know you're doing this for like, you think it's about loyalty to Mick and his wife, Delarae, but like they're just dragging you back in and like you need to, yeah, like you've done enough. Desiree would want you to move on. Yeah. They're all at the memorial. Like, I picture there being a nice sheet cake, honestly. Like, I don't know
Oh, with a
why.
picture of Desiree's face.
Yes. And also somehow it's like British flag theme for some reason. That's what I'm picturing. I don't know why.
Oh, well,
There's
that's
nothing to
because
do with
the
Nashville
good
Airport.
sheet cake
Yeah.
that you ate.
Yeah. And like a big pig. And in waltzes Piper with a tray of shots. And she's like, hey, let's get this party
And
started.
like a sparkly dress too. Like she once again
of
has another
course. That's
sparkly
like
dress.
perfect. Yeah, it's a given.
She's like, why is nobody dancing? Why the long faces? And everyone is
Yeah.
like,
And then she sees the picture.
Justin, I would like to give you a note in case I die young. If I die young and you host an annual memorial for me and you use my senior year high school photo as the like photo that you display
Oh,
of me, I
yeah.
will haunt you. I will come back from the grave and I will fucking haunt you.
It's unclear how old Brendan is or how old they were when
I
they
think
got
Brendan's only
married.
like in his maybe 30. I think he's probably like 30.
So, like, how old were they when they got married
I think they were young. That's the thing.
or when she died?
Well,
Like,
because
it
neither of them
would
went
have
to
been
college.
it still would have been like after high school.
But still, like you didn't have any
Yeah.
other like
Well, maybe it's nice.
Rachel,
Maybe hers is good.
Rachel.
Some
It
people's is
doesn't matter if it's good. I don't want to be remembered by my high school. Like even if I died at 20, I don't want to be remembered by my senior year portrait.
Fair enough.
I will haunt you. I'm not kidding. I'll find
maybe
a way.
Desiree liked hers,
I know, but like,
Well, maybe they just don't have a lot of pictures because her phone was lost at sea with her or something. I don't know. We know Brendan wasn't taking pictures. Anyway,
no.
Piper's freaking out, and Brendan's instinct is to immediately run after her because he feels so bad that she feels bad and guilty. And he like catches up with her. Like she runs towards the dock.
He's running off her, and he's like, "You can't outrun me in those heels."
Oh my god! And she stops, and she's like hugging herself, like I don't know, for like warmth or something. And he's like, "Well, if she's hugging herself, that means that I could probably hug her too." But then he's like, "Oh my gosh, her skin is so soft. Like, what if I scratch her with my calluses? What if I scratch her?"
Like, I don't know what to do with a woman crying, but maybe this. He's so awkward. He really is the beast. This really is Beauty and the Beast.
Yeah,
Like,
they stand there, and he's like, "Oh my god, I really want to kiss her, but like, this is the one night, like a year, I definitely can't. Like, I just can't."
well, he's also like, I can't try to start something with her while I'm still wearing my wedding ring. He's
Yeah,
like, I
that's fair.
have to like fully put that behind me
Right.
before I like try to do anything. They have a whole conversation. They sit on like a bench by the water and they have a whole like heart to heart or
Mhm.
whatever. But she, at one point, she's like, oh my God, I'm like so done. Like I'm such an airhead. Like I can't believe. And he like, it's like fucking thunder like suddenly rumbles and like rolls in from the sky, and he's like, who told you that? Who told you you were an airhead? And he's like ready. He's ready to like grab a fish from the ocean with his bare hands and like slap someone around with it. Like this is like he's like, no, but he's like, and I love this is a continuing theme. He is genuinely furious, like top tier furious every time Piper like disparages herself or calls herself names. He's like, he's like, listen, no, I love you. So you're not, and obviously I have the best taste. That's why I like all the best dishes. So you're insulting me. Like, he's like, don't you fucking dare insult yourself.
And so after this little heart, he like takes her home, and he's like, oh, why the fuck didn't I bring my jacket so that she could wear it, and then I could get it back tomorrow, and I could smell it. Like
missed opportunity. God damn it.
Foolish.
Stupid. He's also like, he asked her about the Instagram because he's like the Instagram comes up and she's like, oh, I saw that you followed me. And he was like, oh my God, like, I'm so embarrassed.
Oh my God.
Then he asked, he's like, are you the girl in the pictures or like the girl next to me? And she's like, why can't I be both?
Porque no los dos.
She's like, I like all those fancy things. Does that make me a bad person? And he's like, once again, like, no, you're perfect. You can be whatever you want.
And the next day, they're Hannah and Piper at the bar, and Brendan rolls up with a coffee and pastry bag. What?
No, before this, he goes home, he takes off his ring. He very purposely, and I do like that the book is like very purposeful about Brendan like consciously being like,
I'm ready now, ready to go.
Because I think that's a lot of like, that's like a thing. I feel like with a lot of like widower romances, and I think it's a lot of the reason that sometimes people like don't like them that much is because like part of the narrative tension is like almost always like either my first marriage was like horrible and abusive, or like I'm still in love with my spouse. And this book is very much like, and like that usually lasts to the end. And Brendan's like, no, I'm putting that behind me. And it's like not part of the conflict.
Yeah. Just for that little like run around in the beginning.
Okay. So I think that's probably a good place for us to wrap up today. Leave you all in suspense now that Brendan has taken off his wedding ring, and you know, let's see how fast he puts it on again for Piper. You know, that's the cliffhanger we're leaving you on here, and the Catskill will be coming next week.
Where can they find us, Allison?
You can find us on Instagram, TikTok, and Facebook at We Read It One Night, on Twitter at We Read It Podcast. And you can email us, wereaditonenight@gmail.com. And in fact, we literally, as we were recording this outro, got an email for book recommendations. So that could be you.
Including It Happened One Summer.
Yes. In fact, the person asked, so you lucky listener, you manifested it.
Yeah.
It's here. Part 1, and next week will be part 2. Godspeed, comrades.
Godspeed.